So, today we're gonna do a books that I've read so far in 2019 type of video. I did a January reads video and I wanted to do like a February one, but I didn't read enough books in February, so I was like, okay, I'll wait until I've read more books. And so I think I've read like a fair enough now to talk about them. And I like doing this more than like at the end of the year. Like maybe at the end of the year I'll do like a favorites in 2019 video. But I prefer doing this because they're still pretty fresh in my mind, so I actually have something to say about them. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into this because I talk a lot about books that I like. We are gonna start out with Be More Chill by Ned Vizzini. I read It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini in January. Absolutely loved it. Love his writing. So naturally, I'm gonna read his other books. And I decided to read this one next because I knew there was a musical. And I love musicals because I'm a big walking stereotype. So I was like, hey, I'll read More Chill and then listen to the soundtrack for the musical. So, read this, loved it. If you don't know what it's about this kid named Jeremy who finds out that there are these like pills you can take called a squib. And it's a computer basically that you swallow, goes into your blood, travels to your brain, and then it tells you what to do. It tells you how to be more chill because he just wants to survive high school. But he always feels like he does the wrong thing, so he gets the squib, and it's about him and the squib trying to make him more chill. The book was super quick to read, too, because the text is like this, and this is like a pretty, like, small book. Like, look at that. It's kind of small. It's kind of tiny. And also, Ned's writing style is really quick to go through. So, read it, loved it, listened to the soundtrack. I don't know why, but the first time I listened to the soundtrack, I heard More Than Survive, and I was like, I don't think I like it. And then, I don't know why, but like 3 weeks ago, something possessed me to go back and listen to the entire thing. I did. I fell in love with it. Might have bought a ticket to go see the Be More Chill musical in New York City on my birthday next year. I love the music for it. I love this book. Really cool, really great story. So excited to see the musical. It's gonna be great. Also, Will Rowland is in it. He was in Dear Evan Hansen. You know how cool that is? Also, George Salazar, his voice. Oh my gosh, like kill me. It's amazing. Anyway, okay, recommend. This next one I was kind of really disappointed in. Like, I mean, I just showed you what it is. It's 5 Feet Apart. It's written by like 3 different authors. Rachel Lippincott with Mickey Daughtry and Tobias Iaconis, I guess. And it's, first of all, it's a movie adaptation. I mean, it's a book adaptation of the movie, which is fine. But I decided to read this because this came out before the movie did, and I wanted to see the movie because it looked cute, and I thought it would be sad. And it disappointed me. It's still a cute story, and I know the whole point was to raise awareness to CFS. If I remember correctly, Claire Wineland was involved in this before, like, she died. Like, she was kind of involved in it, and this movie was actually dedicated to her because they wanted to raise awareness to the illness. It's a cute book, but there was no real point to it. In most books, you have the characters, they go through, like, this, like, whole ordeal. They have character development, or something happens that comes out of all of these trials and tribulations they went through, but there was no point to this. It was a cute book, but there was no point, okay? So, like, our main characters here are Will and Stella. Will has this rare thing that if, like, Stella catches it, they both have CFS, but if she catches it, then, like, she'll die and won't be able to have, like, a lung transplant. She gets a lung transplant, and then he decides to leave, so that way, you know, like, she's safe from him, because he's, like, a monster with his illness. And so I'm like, okay, you know, he realizes he needs to put safety first. Okay, like, end of story, you know, he leaves, they never see each other again, even though they were in love. Like, it's sad, but, you know, pretty, like, satisfying ending. Because I wanted it to be sad. This had so much potential to be sad, and it wasn't sad. And that frustrates me. I was, like, expecting, like, The Fault in Our Stars. Something like that. Like, come on. But it wasn't sad. It was just cute, and then there was no point because at the end of it, after she gets the lung transplant and he leaves, they meet in an airport, like, I don't know, like a year later or whatever, and she goes up to him and they act like nothing ever happened, and it lets off, making it seem like they're gonna get back together again. And then I'm like, what was the point of all of this? What was the point of leaving in the first place if you're just gonna get back together at the end because see each other at an airport? The writing's okay. It's not great writing. Like, I gotta be honest here. It's not great writing. I've seen better writing. This one was kind of melodramatic. It's a really quick read though. Like, you could sit down and knock this out. And, like, there was no point. It was a cute story. I did like it, but it could have been so much sadder. Next, we have The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. I watched the film first. I watched it with my roommates. I've seen, like, Angie Thomas. Like, I see her at YALLFest every year just walking around. Like, I walk past her. I haven't read any of her books, though, until now. And I was like, you know what? This book is really popular, and it's really relevant to today because it's about a girl called Star, and it's about her experiences as a young black woman watching her friend get shot and killed by a cop, and then, like, going through that whole process of trying to get justice for him, trying to speak out on the subject, and just trying to bring awareness to it. And this book is really important. Like, honestly, this is a book everyone should read. So we watched the movie. Most stressful movie I've ever seen. The entire time I watched that movie from, like, start to finish, because it's one of those things where, like, almost everyone knows what this is about, so it's like, someone's gonna get shot eventually, like, something's gonna happen, like, it is going to happen, and then it eventually happens, but then things don't stop happening, and so it's just non-stop, and your heart is racing the entire time you're watching the movie, and it was so stressful, but it was so good. Immediately after that, the next day, literally went to Barnes & Noble to buy this book, read it, loved it. I have a lot of things to say about it. All good things, like, seriously. So, first of all, like, the topic of the book. This book handles that topic so well. Puts it in such a great perspective. Angie Thomas really, like, she handled this beautifully. On top of that, her writing is amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the entire reading experience of this book. The story, the characters, it was so beautifully written. And also, while this book does handle such a serious topic, it breaks it up with dialogue from the characters, like, interacting with each other, where it has such funny bits in it. So, it's serious, all of these, like, really important things are going on, all of this life-changing stuff is happening, all these devastating things are happening. It breaks it up beautifully, so it's not all serious. You've got those bits of humor in it. You get to see the characters react in such a wonderful way and interact. It's just, oh my gosh, she did such a wonderful job with this. I cried reading this book. I laughed, went through a lot of emotions. It was just, she did such a good job on this book. Next, I have Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nyan. I saw Natasha Nyan at YALLFest. She was on an LGBT panel with David Levithan, Ask Me Anything. And I thought she was so cool. And she talked about her book a little bit, and I was like, I want to read that. So I picked it up, Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. Wow! And it's good. Like, it's really good. This is a good, solid book, and I'm so excited for the sequel. This book is about a girl. This is a fantasy novel. She's paper cast, which means she's human. And in this world, demons run their world, basically. There's, like, if I remember correctly, there's, like, demons, moon casts, which are, like, mixtures of demon and paper casts, and then at the bottom are paper casts, which are humans. And there's this demon king who I can't remember if it's every 3 years or every year, he takes girls from different towns and brings them back to his palace and basically turns them into his personal concubines. And it's about the main character, Lei, who gets chosen and taken to the palace. And it's about her trying to escape and trying to adapt, kind of adjust to her new life and figure things out, about her trying to find her footing, figure out who she is on top of all this. Her mom was taken, like, years prior, and so she's also on this journey to try and figure out what happened to her mom. She meets other girls there. There's a love interest. It's really adorable. And it's just really good, and there's gonna be a sequel. I'm really excited for the sequel. I loved this book. I couldn't put this down. It was so fun and so exciting. I've been reading, like, a lot of more contemporary, like, YA books. So, like, I finally read this, which was a fantasy, and I'm like, oh, yeah. So, this was really good. Really enjoyed it. Really recommend it. Excited for the sequel. I filmed a video about this, like, specifically about this book and the one before it, because this is the sequel, which is The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy by Mackenzie Lee. I love this book. I love Mackenzie Lee. I believe Mackenzie Lee's underrated. She deserves more attention. She's a fantastic author. This book is about, if you know the First Gentleman's Guide book, it's about his sister Felicity. So Gentleman's Guide was about Monty. This one's about Felicity, his sister, and about how she wants to be a doctor in the 1700s, and it's about her trying to, like, break through in the medical community and finally get to study as, like, a woman doctor, because, again, 1700s, not big on women doctors. You know, like, feminism, who cares, you know? And also along the way, one thing I love about this book, one thing I love that Mackenzie Lee does, is Felicity has, like, a good amount of, like, character development in this. It starts out with her in the book basically being, like, a strong woman. Like, I am a strong woman. I should, you know, like, I focus medicine. I don't care what I look like. I don't care how I dress. I just care about facts and medicine and, you know, being logical and things like that. It involves a lot of Felicity meeting, like, an old childhood friend, and her friend kind of showing her that you don't have to specifically be this way to be a strong woman. You can be a strong woman and love wearing dresses. You can be a strong, smart woman and still enjoy all of these, like, things people deem as, like, silly. Felicity kind of grows and learns from that and kind of realizes that you don't have to be one way to be a strong, smart woman. There are so many strong, smart women out there who are and do embrace, like, more feminine things. And I really love that. I love how this book tackles that. I love that a lot. That's one of my favorite things about this. So, like, Felicity learns a lot, and a lot happens. It's a fun adventure. That's one thing about Mackenzie Lee. All of her books are such fun adventures, especially, like, in this series. So, recommend it greatly. Next, I have Someday by David Levithan. If you know or watched any of my other videos, I loved Everyday by David Levithan, which is essentially about this person called A who wakes up in a new body every day. So, like, they'll wake up in one body one day and try to live that person's life as well as they can, and then the next day they wake up in another person's body. And this is about that, but I gotta say, I like this one more than I do Everyday, because Everyday more focused on A, letting a person in and being like, hey, I exist, I'm like this. And there was, like, a whole love interest thing, and, like, that was fine. I still love the concept. I was obsessed with I'm still obsessed with, like, the concept of A, and I want to know everything about, like, A and who they are, and I'm hoping there are more books. I like Someday more, and the reason is because we meet, well, at the end of Everyday, we kind of meet another person that's like A, but more uses their powers for, I guess, evil, you could say, who's called X. I don't know why I'm doing that for X, but X. I like this one because it kind of gets a little dark, because X, like, there's this one scene in particular where X wakes up in the body of this guy and goes to, like, visit this guy's girlfriend, and they're talking, and his girlfriend's like, what are you doing? You're acting so weird. And in X's, like, head, his, like, inner narration, because it switches perspectives, in his inner narration, he's like, she doesn't know her boyfriend isn't here. She doesn't know there's someone else here who could do anything they want. Like, she doesn't realize that there's this other person here, and I suffer no consequences from what I do. And it was just really, really dark, and I was really impressed. Like, I loved it. I love that because it's kind of unsettling. Imagine looking at a person that you know, you trust, and you love really well, and then all of a sudden they just seem like a completely different person, and there's someone else in there. Like, it's eerie. So I really liked that about this book, and it kind of goes more into that, and about A, and A meeting more people like them, and I really like it. I loved this book a lot. I like David Levithan in general, but one thing I think is funny is, like, X had that, like, intense narration of being like, I could do whatever I wanted or kill people. And then David Levithan, like, I don't know if you've ever met him or seen him, but he is like a big little ball of sunshine. He is just cheery, kind of radiates positive energy, like, very content, very cheerful. I've met him, like, twice now at Y'all Fest, and it's just, this came out of that, and it's just really funny to me. I don't know. Next, I have another book by Mackenzie Lee, which is This Monstrous Thing, and this one was really cool. I feel like I didn't do this book justice, though, because I couldn't get as into it as I do other books. Like, it took me a month to read this, so it was, like, really chopped up. And you know how if you read one book for that long, it kind of loses, like, its sense of, like, power? That sounds weird. I hope that made sense. I don't know. It kind of happened with this, but I did really like this book. I really enjoyed it. Honestly, when it ended, I was like, I want to read it again. I'm sad. I feel like I didn't enjoy it to the fullest. It's basically Mackenzie Lee, her little twist on, like, the story of Frankenstein. Like, it has two brothers, one brings the other back from the dead, but then they have, like, this girl in there who's actually Mary Shelley, who writes Frankenstein in the book. And it's just really cool. And there's clockwork with people. It's just really neat. It's just a really cool story. And the whole time, the brother who brought his brother back from the dead, he's like, am I a monster? What am I? Like, this is, like, scary. Like, what have I done? Like, my brother Oliver, like, he's not himself anymore. He's just all machine. And it also deals with, like, people who do have clockwork in them, like, trying to fight for, like, equal rights and being like, we are people, we are alive. So kind of like Detroit Become Human a little bit. But I really liked this. This was really good. And again, Mackenzie Lee, fantastic writer. I'm definitely gonna have to read this again, though, because I need to, like, when I have, like, a good amount of time to actually get really super into a book, I need to, like, just sit down and read this. So, yeah, but I recommend it. It was cool. So I actually almost forgot one, which is The Edge of the Universe by Sean David Hutchinson. I can't believe I almost forgot about this. Listen, I love Sean David Hutchinson. I love his books. It's about this guy called Ozzy who wakes up one day and no one remembers that his boyfriend Tommy ever existed. And he's like, okay, like, I know I had a boyfriend. He's gone missing now. I don't know where he is. And so it's about him trying to find his boyfriend, trying to figure out what happened to him and why no one else remembers him. And like, even in Ozzy's, like, diary, everything that he'd ever written about Tommy was just, like, gone or messed up or didn't make any sense. And so he's, like, trying to get to the bottom of this. And while all this is happening, the universe is actually shrinking, like, every day. So the universe, like, starts out with it being, like, you know, like 14 billion light years, and then it just shrinks down, 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 and down, like, with every chapter. And I like the ending a lot, because this is one thing that I love about Sean David Hutchinson, okay? This is only the second book that I've read of his, but with We Are the Ants, I like how it ends. And it's like, is this actually, like, a supernatural thing that happened? Or was it a mental breakdown? And you can't entirely tell, and I really like that. I really, really, really like that. I like how it's like, did this actually happen, or was this in this character's mind? Like, I don't know why, but I just absolutely love that, and I love that he does that, and I have to read some of his other books. Like, I finished this, and I was like, I want another one of his books to read. His writing is also really good. It's really easy to get through. This book, I mean, like, this is a thick book. It's like almost 500 pages, but I blew through it in like a few days because he sucks you in, and then his writing's really easy to read. It's just like pulls you in and sucks you inside, and it's just, I recommend it. I recommend all of his books, honestly. And again, We Are the Ants. Love that book. Read his books, please. They are fantastic. So those are all of the books that I've read so far. I mean, never mind January, but like February to now in June. That's about as all the books that I've read so far. And right now I'm reading Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds. And I mean, I'm not that far in, so I can't really give an opinion. I'm literally only 24 pages in, so I can't give like a real opinion yet. But so far, like, I'm very intrigued. Also, Becky Albertalli and Angie Thomas like this book, and I like both of them in their books, so. But there is one thing I want to show you about this book, which is, you know how if you turn to the back of books, there's always that thing that has, like, about the author a little bit? Let me just read you his. Justin A. Reynolds has been a pest control operator, night security guard, steel mill janitor, NASA intern, salesman of high-end faucet fixtures, and carpet flooring installer. He was most recently a registered nurse before trading his stethoscope for a pencil, but he likes to think both the instruments reveal the heart. He lives in Northeast Ohio, home to snow, Lake Erie, and Cavaliers, which I don't know what that is. Is that a football team or something? I don't know. And then it has, you know, you can visit Justin at his website, but I love that he's been so many things. Like, he's really out there, like, trying all these different professions, you know, he's just living life to the fullest, and I love that. But, I mean, this book has gotten great reviews, so I'm reading it, and I'm excited about it. That's it for books today. Thank you for watching. If you did, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you for watching. Let me know if you've read any good books recently down there in the comments. Talk to me, interact with me, and I will see you next week. I hope you have a good week, a good day. Enjoy those books, read a really good book, and yeah, okay. See you next week, and bye-bye.